Hi, I'm Sian, one of the news editors at Manx Radio. Now, how much do you worry about your pension? Changes to the Manx State Pension and the way it goes up every year could be on the horizon if Treasury Minister Allinson gets approval in Tynwald. On Manx Radio Breakfast, he told me about the Manx Pension Guarantee.
What we've known for quite a while is that if we do nothing, the National Insurance Fund will run out around about 2047, which seems a long time away. But if you're in your late 40s or early 50s and you're expecting to get a pension, you need to be worried about this. So we have come forward with proposals which were discussed in Tynwald last year. We've now published this week another report showing a way that we can guarantee the NI fund for future pensioners. What this means is that we are not going to get rid of the triple lock, which I've been approached by a couple of people really worried about that. We've got a two-tier pension scheme on the Isle of Man at the moment. For those people who retired from 2019 are on what's called the Manx State Pension, which is very different to the UK pension. It pays around about £241 a week. That's significantly more than you get in the UK. And that's what we're talking about now is increasing that year on year, but by a slightly different measure to the previous state pension, which all those people before 2019 who are linked to the UK and will continue to get whatever the UK gets. Now, they've got what's called a triple lock. It was set out by David Cameron and his coalition government all those years ago. And there it increases by either 2.5% UK inflation or the increase in wages. What we're going to be proposing to Tynwald is that we take control of those pensions over 2019. We increase them each year, but by the Isle of Man rate of inflation, or 2%, so we can keep track and actually make sure that we've got the NI funds going into the future for the future pensioners.
I mean, you say this isn't getting rid of the triple lock, but essentially compared to the guarantees of the triple lock, this is a weaker deal, isn't it?
Not necessarily. It is a deal that maintains the NI fund going into the future. In this year's budget, we're proposing to make significant investments into benefits, but also the whole idea of this budget will be to listen to the voices we've heard from the people through the roadshows and government conference, put money into people's pockets. Now, the UK triple lock has been committed to in terms of the current government, but there are many calls in the UK to break away from that as well, because they've seen welfare spending increase year on year, and we've seen the effects they've had to make in terms of increasing employer national insurance to pay for that. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that we can still have a vibrant economy on the Isle of Man, that we can invest in businesses here, but we can give pensioners now and in the future a really good deal, which is why in this budget we've got around about £7 million going straight into pensioners, particularly those poorer pensioners who also rely on other forms of benefits.
And you talked about that change in 2019, the Manx State Pension, the splitting from the UK one there. So for those who have retired since April 2019, these are the people who are going to be affected by this change. People who have retired in that time, they've already done their financial planning. Is this fair to change the goalposts after someone has already retired?
Well, what we're doing is creating some certainty. One of the issues I have as Treasury Minister for the Isle of Man is the triple lock is completely out of my hands. It's determined by the UK government and it's determined by the cost of living there. For instance, we are pledging to increase it, if the budget is accepted, increase most of our benefits by Isle of Man inflation, which is 2.2% in September. In the UK, they're increasing it by 1.7%, which is their inflation. Well, we know that we've seen greater increases in costs on the Isle of Man, so we're reflecting that in what we pay for our pensioners here and the people who depend on benefits. So rather than creating uncertainty, I think people will know in every October exactly what they're going to get from the Isle of Man government if they paid into the state pension scheme. Whereas if they're depending on the triple lock or on the UK government, there's that vague, the slight uncertainty there is exactly what they'll get. So I think, from my point of view, this is taking control of the pension scheme. And again, this isn't about cutting benefits. This isn't about giving less. It's about giving stability for the National Insurance Fund so that people working now don't have to pay more and more into it for the pension that they expect and deserve in the future.
Before this does go to Tynwald, are you open to public feedback on this?
Absolutely, and I've been getting a lot of feedback from people and trying to explain why we're making this change, who it affects, and what the benefits they will see. Because again, this is taking control of the way we increase pensions for those pensioners who've retired from 2019. It also means that we can keep track of the inflation on the island and reflect that in terms of the pensions they get in the future. But again, for all those people in their late 40s and early 50s, this is guaranteeing that when they get to retirement age, and we've committed not to increase the retirement age any more than it is planned for at the moment, they will get a decent pension. They will get a pension that actually corresponds to the cost of living on the Isle of Man rather than something that might be in England.
You talked about the NI fund and the forecast. I think it was the UK Actuarial Service that did this forecast that at the moment it could run out in 2047-48. I know you made a statement on that report in October, but that was published in February 2023. Why has it taken until now to get these proposals in place?
What my predecessors have been doing is trying to make changes. Bringing in the Manx State Pension back in 2019 was one of the big changes to get control of this. I think these are difficult decisions. And again, the debate we're having now has been had before. And some of my MHK colleagues have already said, I don't like this, I'm not going to vote for it. If we don't make changes, that fund's going to run out, and those people in 20 years' time will be facing uncertainty in terms of their pensions. I don't want that, so this government has made some difficult decisions and will continue to do so for the good of the nation and for the benefit of those people who've paid into the NI fund and expect and should absolutely have the right to get a decent pension at the end of it.
What would happen then if this doesn't pass in Tynwald? You've said there that not everyone is in favour.
Yeah, and I'm expecting people to vote against the budget, as they did last year. We're going through a difficult time, we're making difficult decisions, but we're doing it for the long-term stability and credibility of the Isle of Man economy. If the budget doesn't go through, I'll have to look again at how we can balance increasing costs in terms of the benefit system and where we get that money from. And as I've said, in the United Kingdom, they've started increasing employer national insurance contributions, putting the burden on industries and small businesses. I don't want to do that. I want to support small businesses on the island so that we can get the balance between what people are entitled to and get in terms of benefits, but also what people pay into the system. Because as I said, the whole idea of this budget is to put more money in people's pockets to drive consumer confidence, but also business confidence, which is really important for the economic growth of our country.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio Newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.